Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of I'm No Joe, your home for all things combat sports, and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. The views and opinions presented on the I'm No Joe channel belong solely to the person expressing them, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, this show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You've been warned. So I said, is that the hand you make those sandwiches with? Because if so, wash that thing before you make my... If it's Thursday, it's I'm No Joe. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe broadcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like an Eddie Bravo. Today, as like most days, I have got a glorious panel full of fellas here to break down the upcoming shenanigans and get into some shit talking live for you here on the tubes of you this fine evening. But before we jump into all of that, first and foremost, he's growing the locks out, he's growing the beard out, he's starting to get all of fuzzies. He's like a real boy. How you doing, RJ?
I'm doing pretty good. I just want to make one small announcement. I did as per requested since my absence of last week. There was many and multiple four to count them mentions of my reason for my excuse of being gone. There's so I'm here just to clarify. I'm going to cover my name, so because I don't want to DDoS myself. But this right here is a lovely thing from Micro Center where I had to take my computer. Just because my fucking motherboard shorted out and completely fucking fried itself. Was last Wednesday. That's also why I wasn't here on TJ's show last week. It completely fucked itself. So proof is in the pudding, and I got a good bit of proof right there. Just gotta clear that up, for the record. But now that the allegations have been handled, I'm doing fucking great. I'm glad to be back. I was kind of aggravated. I was actually really fucking pissed off that my computer fucked itself last week. Because last week was going to be a good show. I was pretty aggravated about that. But, ladies and gentlemen, everybody that's watching this on YouTube at I'm No Joe, and everybody that is listening to this on their podcast consumption platform of your choice using anchor.fm/I'm No Joe, in the description and here on YouTube, the entire time that we are here talking shit, there is a banner of our Discord channel going down on the bottom of the screen, and it's also down in the description to this video here on YouTube. Go over to our Discord channel. It has all of our all the news and recent events that doesn't get brought up during the show, so you can see a whole bunch of slew of just weird and fucking crazy shit that's going on in the combat sports world itself, not just the UFC or Bellator or a specific fucking promotion. Everything in general, anything that involves a fighter, it all goes in there. And we have our fan Q&A segment. Drop a question, any question, as long as it pertains to us, the members of this panel, the show itself, or combat sports, the good old kicky punchies themselves. And we will gladly answer those here on this show the following week. That is all. I'm trying to get my promotion skills a little bit better.
You're getting there. That's I make a point here. We give credit where credit is due. You're getting there. We'll turn you into a promo machine just yet. That being said, the man of 1,000 windows. None of them looking happy though. How you doing this evening, TJ?
Did you really want to start me off on the wrong foot? God damn it. Seriously? I'd kind of calmed down a little bit from yesterday. Not a lot. Still waiting on a cocksucker to call back, but all right. It's fucking Thursday. I'm ready to talk kicky punchies, and I'm praying to God this weekend, albeit a weird card and some, lack of better terms, a shitty replacement, which really sucks for one specific individual, which we'll talk about later, I'm sure.
Oh, I promise we will.
There's still some pretty solid fights, and there is a fight on there that I'm specifically interested in talking about. I don't know if you're going to talk about it or not, but it's definitely something I want to give kudos to the UFC on, because I think they've done a fantastic thing.
Yeah, I think I know the one, and I'm pretty sure we'll cover it as well. But that being said, let's start the show off the way that we start most shows off here when we've got action prior to our episode. Quick little bit of recap from last week's events. I'll tell you what, for a card that should have been extremely fucking boring, there was some fucking excitement on last weekend's UFC card. I'm not saying it was a head-to-toe fucking banger. What I'm telling you is there was some fights on that card that should have just been, man, go get your popcorn, and you would be mad if you'd have gotten up and missed some of those fucking events. The opening fucking fight, Sasha Palatnikov came into the UFC with a fucking bang, and he went out Saturday night with a thud. He got yoked the fuck up by his goddamn neck and choked smooth the fuck out to start the card with a submission into unconsciousness. Props to Brahimov. Damn, Palatnikov just fucking ate one, man. And it wasn't like he was really looking like shit or anything. Ramiz just was fucking smooth, and his timing was so fucking perfect. The second Sasha left his neck open, yoink, good night, Gracie. But not to be outdone by a fellow new guy, the name that pretty much everyone in the combat sports world has come to learn since last Saturday night, Ignacio Bahamondes. Holy fucking shit. The irony of him ending his fight last weekend and then the main event we've got coming up this weekend is not fucking lost on me, okay? We got one of the most beautiful wheel kick knockouts we have seen in a long goddamn time. 10th wheel kick knockout in UFC history. Roosevelt Roberts just looked from the get-go like he didn't want to be in there, like he was not ready for that. And Bahamondes set that shit up so fucking perfectly. I'm sure if you're listening to this, you'll probably seen the replay by now, but somehow if you manage to have missed it, as soon as this episode is over, just hop over on YouTube and just look up Roosevelt Roberts, Ignacio Bahamondes, or look up UFC Vegas 34. Either way, I promise you, you'll find that highlight reel, and holy shit, that was fucking beautiful. That young man is going to be something to watch out for if that's even a fucking fraction of the potential that he has got. And from what we're hearing, that's nothing. Like, this guy's supposed to be another gym demon, and he just barely got to show off a fucking glimpse of what he's capable of in the cage. So you're definitely going to want to keep an eye on that name going forward.
Yeah, dude, though, him setting that up was fucking beautiful. Forced him to go to hit his left, and just that, and just that quick, smooth pivot back step to fucking spinning heel was, you can't get any more fucking textbook. You cannot in an actual combat scenario, in an actual fight, you cannot get more textbook than that. That was a fucking masterclass move. And the setup was just as fucking good.
Right. Well, look at it this way. It was so beautiful. Wonder Boy did an entire YouTube video just about that fucking wheel kick, because he was like, we were screaming. He says we were screaming when we saw that happen. And you got to know, everybody that practices, that's a kick practitioner that has been screaming for so long that kicks are underutilized, like proper kicks, not just a fucking low calf kick. but guys like Wonder Boy, who are known for just getting crazy with the fucking leg work, you know they were all losing their shit when he landed that fucking wheel kick this weekend. I know we were going off the fucking chain when we saw it. And you know, I gotta say, I did not expect the William Knight versus Fabio Cherant fight to produce a whole lot of terribly exciting moments. I figured it was going to be mildly entertaining at best, most likely going to go to a decision. Neither one really had anything to offer to show excitement, and holy shit was I wrong, because right about the 3:49 mark in the first round, William Knight decided, you know what? I think we've had about enough of this. Let's just end this now. Robin Black, bink. Over. Fucking over. Holy fucking shit. Just cleaned his fucking clock and laid him out. Props for showing up, I guess, to Cherant, but damn, William Knight caught some fucking attention for that one. And then one of the most surprising fucking moments of the evening, I would have to say, Josiana Nunez against Bay Malecki. It has been a hot minute since we have seen a legitimate ladies knockout in the UFC. We've seen a couple of stoppages based on aggression. We've seen some good knockdowns. It has been a hot fucking minute since we have seen a lady in the UFC just get folded like a fucking lawn chair. All 7.5 feet of Bay Malecki just crumpled like a fucking toy when someone yelled, "Andy's coming!" It was fucking over, dude. Like somebody yanked the strings out of the fucking marionette and just crumpled. Bravo. Bravo. I did not in any way think that that fight was going like that. I figured with Malecki's 6-foot-long fucking limbs, she'd have been able to keep Nunez at distance real fucking easy. And boy, was I fucking wrong, because that fucking shot that she caught Malecki with while she was going backwards, just clip, good night, over. Fucking Dunsville. Bravo, man. Bravo. As anticipated, the fucking Kelleher match went to a fucking very boring decision. I will say, though, that set us up for one of the better fights of the entire fucking card Saturday night. Austin Lingo versus Luis Saldana. Holy fucking shit. Luis Saldana was trying everything he could to be the dollar store Anthony Pettis that the UFC has been searching for. He was trying all the flashy bullshit, but Austin Lingo was putting on a fucking class Saturday night. Just smooth, smart, and very fucking fluid in all of his fucking movements and his counters. Just, I mean, I get it that flashy shit might get you a lot of attention on the smaller circuits when not a lot of guys know what to do against that shit. But when you step in against a guy like Austin Lingo, who's like, cool, boom, you got to change your fucking game plan on the fly. And we watch Austin Lingo adapt and read shit in the moment and change what he was doing during the fucking fight. His fight IQ during the fucking match was just chef's kiss, just fucking beautiful. The kid was reading shit and moving and adjusting in real fucking time while the fight was happening. You could see him changing and reading fucking Saldana as he was trying his stupid shit, just dipping out. Fucking movement was beautiful. Way to go, Austin fucking Lingo. I think that kid has a bright fucking future ahead of him. Go. And then that will bring us over to one of the biggest, oh shit, moments of the evening. The opening of the main card. One of the fights that I was personally looking the most forward to on all of the fucking cards Saturday night. Alexandre Pantoja versus Brandon Royval. The good news I will say is it definitely looks like Royval's shoulder is back to 100%. He was looking good. He was moving nice. He looked like he had full range of motion back. He didn't have any issues throwing anything. He looked real good until he didn't. I will say this. At one point, Royval and Pantoja looked like a pair of cats thrown in a gunny sack hung over a fucking laundry line. They were just tied together and fucking rolling and going and moving and switching, and fucking limbs were popping out and flying. And it was a hell of a fucking transition. It really, really fucking was. But as they say in the world of jiu-jitsu, sometimes it only takes one small mistake to end everything. And that's exactly what we saw. In an attempt to use a maneuver and scramble that he had successfully used earlier in the transitioning role, Royval turned one direction and Pantoja saw what he was doing, and instead of going with it, went the other way and just caught the fucking neck and fish hooked under, and it was all fucking over. Beautiful fucking sportsmanship in the fucking aftermath rather. But goddamn, was that fucking neck take smooth. I will be very vocal about this because they, on the other side of it, has been equally vocal since then. I do not in any sense of the imagination think that choke against Royval earned Pantoja the ability to jump over Figueiredo and get a shot at Moreno next. I don't think anything in that fight showed me that he deserves that shot more than Figueiredo deserves his rematch. Figueiredo, give Moreno the immediate fucking rematch. I think given the situation, the same courtesy should be extended. If Pantoja is going to be next, cool. I'm okay with that. Let Pantoja have whoever has the belt after they run that back, because they need to run that back. The first one was a draw of weird fucking proportions. We saw how it went in the run back on that. I think Figueiredo deserves his fucking rematch way more than that fight earned Pantoja the ability to jump the line.
You know, coming back to this fight itself, not even talking about the title picture, because that's at least my concern, to be quite honest. That'll all sort itself out eventually. What I gathered out of this fight watching was, I think, even with the shoulder popping out when he fucking had his chance to go after the title, Royval must not have been the guy. There was something else going on there. And then submission loss to Pantoja. I don't think Pantoja has a fucking flame to either Figueiredo or the current champ, and vice versa for Royval. To be quite honest, these guys are fighting for table scraps.
Yeah.
Right now, the two that are at the top of the heap are at the top for a fucking reason. And I agree with you 100%. I don't think he should get to jump spot in the line. However, the way the UFC likes to play things, they probably will. Because, you know.
Right. Yeah, we are talking about the same organization that made a fucking interim belt 3 months after it crowned a new champion while the champion was perfectly fucking healthy. So,
yeah. Born retarded, can't fix it. That's all I can say. But no, to be quite honest, I think this really for Brandon Royval, this is a huge fucking setback. Like, not minor, but huge. You come back off an injury and then get submitted. That grappling exchange at the end was fucking amazing. Like, just to watch how fast they were transitioning from position to position. But there's obviously levels to the jiu-jitsu games there, and Pantoja definitely had the fucking right tricks. Royval also has the one thing that not a lot of other people do in the flyweight division. He has the never give up mentality. Like, Pantoja had his back before he got choked out like 6-7 times.
Yeah, couple good times. Yeah, solid.
But he kept moving, kept wiggling out of it. There was a couple of mistakes that Royval made that you could see he needs to go and polish up on with his grappling, and he would have been out of those if he polishes those areas up. But the level in grappling in BJJ there was obviously on Pantoja's side, and unfortunately, that's going to cause a big setback for Royval, because now, in order for him to even get near a title shot, he's probably going to have to win 5 in a row.
At least a good hard couple, yeah, for sure.
I would say a good solid 5, because this is a setback, because technically his last fight was a loss, albeit due to injury. That's 2 losses in a row. that drops you back down into the pile to probably like 10th. So you're gonna have to fight 4 or 5 more times in order to get up to the title shot, in my opinion.
They're showing him as ranked number 6 right now. Which that loss definitely kicked him out of top 5. I agree with that. I don't know if it'll kick him out of the top 10, but it definitely kicks him out of the top 5 for sure.
See, I figured it would push him back to about 10 with the back-to-backers like that, especially knowing one was due to injury. Although coming back from injury, though, his fucking arm looked great. No issues there.
Yeah, it did.
And the worst part of it, even going back to that fight where he was injured, I'm pretty sure if they would have let him go just to the end of the fucking round, which was only a couple seconds away, his corner would have popped that shit right back in socket. He would have went right back out there and fought. I'm not saying that he was going to win at that point with the shoulder being compromised, but he would have at least went out.
Right. I agree.
I really can't even say he was going to win that fight now that I've seen what his counterpart has done.
Right. No, I will say I am no fucking fan of Pantoja. I wasn't before this. I'm not after that performance, but like I try and make a point to do on this show, regardless of your personal feelings, give credit where credit is due. And that was one fucking smooth submission. And I will give him fucking props for that. So he absolutely earned that fucking W. That will bring us into the second Austin match of the evening last weekend. Austin Hubbard versus Vince Pichel. I gotta say, man, I like Austin Hubbard. I like what we've seen of him as a prospect, but man, the power of the mustache was just too goddamn strong Saturday night. Vince Pichel was a fucking man possessed. He was constantly doing everything he needed to. He was right where he needed to be and out when he needed to be. He was looking real fucking good and just point blank outworked Austin Hubbard the entire goddamn fight. I get that there wasn't a fucking finish, and that kind of sucks in a fight that was that hard fought, but Vince Pichel looked fucking great Saturday night. And the more important part I think about that is that he made Austin Hubbard look like a full-on fucking rookie. And we've seen Austin Hubbard look good before. And Vince Pichel showed up and just made him look like he never stepped foot in a fucking octagon before. That alone was very fucking impressive. So I think if Vince Pichel can keep this fucking momentum going, he might be able to make a little bit of a fucking splash in the fucking lightweight division. I don't see him going up for the belt anytime soon, but considering how vast of a fucking landscape 155 is right now, with the top being really bottlenecked up at the top and then there just being an ocean of the rest of the division, it's real easy to start to get ahead of steam down there when you're first getting waves, and Vince Pichel is making some fucking splashes. So it might be time for folks to start paying attention to the mustache.
I think they need to. He's on a 3-fight fucking streak. And
that's what I'm
there's
saying.
A notable name in there too. Prior to the Austin Hubbard fight, he took out Jim Miller.
Yes, he fucking did. And that was one that had us all angry because he earned it. Yeah, he earned the fucking win against Jim Miller, to fucking dismay of all of us watching. So yeah, no, Pichel is making some fucking splashes now.
Look, there's one thing to be said about that old guy, and I say old guy relatively because technically he's my age, 38, but in terms of fighting, it's fucking old. That dude is a fucking animal, and everyone he's got in there with so far, he is outworked. And he might not have the greatest, crispest striking or anything like that, but what he lacks in that, he makes up for the work he puts in, because the amount of work he puts in, he's literally putting people like Austin Hubbard, who have a good gas tank, to fucking shame, because Austin Hubbard looked like he was getting fucking tired of that.
Sure the fuck
but
did.
The pure amount of pressure, man, I'm telling you, nobody wants that mustache ride. Not one. That Vince Pichel, that he needs to keep the power stash. If he fucking shaves that off, his career is over. Something has gone awry. So if that goes, there goes the rest of his UFC career. But I think with 3 wins, to be honest, I think he deserves somebody in the fucking numbered category, like between 13 and 15.
Recognizable. Yeah, I agree.
You know, just to see if he is ready for that. Because if he is, they need to get him in there, because They know these things are short-lived when it comes to your career at that age. Time is a motherfucker, and Father Time waits for no one. So I think the UFC would be smart to start getting him up there with some of those ranked opponents to see where he fits into this. And is he capable of making a run at the title within the next 2 years or so?
Right. Well, and especially now that we know coming up this weekend exactly where Kevin Lee fits into all of this. Oh, that's a joke for all the other MMA nerds like me. But that'll bring us into the next match of the evening. One of the most exciting back and forths of the fucking night, in my opinion. Trevin Jones taking on the literal last minute replacement in Sadyakub Kakramanov. I believe that's how it's said. This man took this fight. Let me rephrase that. This man accepted this fight in Uzbekistan 3 days, almost to the minute before the fight took place. In the span of 72 hours, he got a plane ticket, got on a fucking plane, flew all the way from Uzbekistan to Las Vegas, made weight, and then showed up and put in fucking work against Trevin Jones. Not that Trevin Jones is a world breaker. I'm not saying he's the fucking future champ. What I'm saying is in 72 hours, this man went from the other side of the fucking planet to Las Vegas, made weight, and then put in work and put Trevin Jones away Saturday night. There's something to be said for a man with that kind of fucking drive and that kind of ambition. Whether he's the best in the world or not, that is someone you better fucking watch out for, because that man is literally willing to cross the fucking globe just to beat your ass, and he's going to get a paycheck for it. That dude definitely made a fucking first impression in the UFC Saturday night.
Just so people understand this, how far Uzbekistan is from Las Vegas. See, from Las Vegas to Hawaii is about a 4.5 hour flight. Okay. And the reason why I'm counting this in here seems a little fucking weird, but I had to fly from Hawaii to Afghanistan back in 2004. This may be while some of you are still in grade school in diapers that were fucking listening to this. Oh,
It's me.
And then that guy too. Yeah. So it took 24 hours of flight time to get from there to Afghanistan. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with that part of the world, Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, they butt right up to each other. In fact, the entry point into Afghanistan was through Uzbekistan, which is where you initially fly into before you get doled out in Afghanistan. Anyhow, that doesn't matter. That flight from where he flew out of in Tashkent, which is the capital city of Uzbekistan, to get back stateside to the United States, he was probably looking at, with stops and everything, about 19 to 20 hours, cutting his 3 days down to 1.5, basically. Not even
with no layovers, yeah.
So you know what he was doing on that fucking plane ride? Cutting fucking weight, because there's no way he would have made the scales otherwise.
21 hours, 37 minutes. I got a
fucking good. Apparently I do remember some things.
Yeah. I got a thing up from including all layovers from Tashkent to Las Vegas is 21 hours, 37 minutes.
There you go. Look at that. My math was off by about a fucking hour and a half, 2 hours. Hey, look, it tells you I know what I'm talking about here. So, dude, that dude, bad motherfucker. Not to mention, that was one slick ass mission after 3 rounds of fucking war. And the best part of that being was how he handled the fucking interview after the fight. He rose so much stock in himself with that interview and the country of Uzbekistan as a whole, which was fucking amazing. To be quite honest, I'm ready to see him back in here and fucking before the end of the year. Like, they better get him in here by November.
Either that or get him on that fucking October card in Abu Dhabi, which would be way easier to get him into, I bet.
Oh, that would be fucking fantastic. And the way he showed up he deserves every bit of it and then some.
Yeah, and seeing as how that card is at the end of October, that gives him 2.5 months to get healed up, sharpen everything back up, get ready to go, and then be ready to fucking fly on down to Abu Dhabi and do it again. I don't think that should be too much of a stretch. He didn't take a whole lot of damage Saturday night. I think it's possible.
Oh, good God. Yeah, he really didn't. I mean, to be quite honest, I say it back and forth, but it was pretty fucking one-sided, in my own opinion.
Yeah. No, we were talking about that during the fight, that this essentially was either the new guy's going to show up and fuck Trevin Jones up, or this is Trevin Jones's softball pitch to fucking tee off and get his name recognized. Well, it was not the second of those, I'll tell you that much.
It says he was expecting a fastball and got a fucking slider instead.
Ain't that the damn truth?
No, dude,
props to the new guy. I'm very excited to see where he goes from here as well. I hope they can turn him around this year as well. But that'll bring us into the big men battle of the evening. Parker Porter versus Chase Sherman. I gotta say, for a guy who has done as much work as we have seen Chase do, he gassed the fuck out pretty hard. Not that Parker Porter was really doing anything spectacular or really stopping much spectacularly. Just you could see that Chase couldn't keep up with him. Chase wasn't really conserving his energy too well. Every time they got into an exchange and it really heated up, you could see Chase was just pouring it on every fucking time. And by the end of the fight, he poured himself fucking short, because the end of the night, Parker Porter, I'm not going to say he looked fresh by any stretch of the imagination, but Chase Sherman was sucking wind like fucking Ngannou versus Lewis. It was kind of bad. It was pretty fucking bad. And then for whatever fucking reason, about the middle of the second round, Chase Sherman went from keeping his hands right here to just keeping his hands around his goddamn belly button, and his face paid the fucking price for it. He essentially gave Parker Porter a fucking unanimous decision against him by just wearing himself the fuck out and looking like he wasn't even trying for most of the third round. For a dude who we've seen do fucking work, I was genuinely disappointed in that performance from Chase Sherman.
Yeah, you know what I got out of the fight? I was impressed with Parker Porter's gas tank. He wasn't fresh at the end, but
yeah, no, he was there though.
As far as a heavyweight is concerned, going 3 rounds, and he had a pretty solid fucking pace going for a heavyweight. Like the second round alone, he was throwing like some fucking light heavyweights and even possibly middleweights. Like there was a lot of shots being thrown by him, and he still didn't look that bad in the fucking third round there. I was impressed by his gas tank. Like, to be quite honest, you look at Parker Porter, you do not think gas tank when you see him. But he definitely had the gas tank. Don't let that fucking flabby body fool you. He has a gas tank for a heavyweight. I'm not saying he's ever going to be champ, because I don't see that in him. But I could definitely see him making it into the top 15 with that gas tank. The gas tank alone and his will to keep pushing forward. Even when he got hit, he would push forward through it. What was surprising me most about Chase Sherman, though, did anybody take account of how many times during the fight he looked up at the clock to find out how much fucking time was left?
Noticeably looked up. Yeah, wasn't even trying to hide it.
No, there was a lot where he just go like this. Where the fuck he was in the cage to find the timer. I'm going, it makes you shake your head. I'm like, that's your corner's job. Don't worry about the time, you fight. He looked like he was not ready for this fight. I don't know if there was a problem in training camp or something, but something didn't look right with him. And with the amount of just being gassed, it makes me wonder, did you have a hard weight cut, or did you just not focus on cardio this camp because you thought you were going to walk through Parker Porter? You know? But Parker Porter, kudos on your gas tank, man. That was impressive. It was way more gas in the tank than I thought there was.
Yeah. My only thing is what I'm seeing a lot of, again, it's been a good period of time since we've consistently seen on every card people that just don't have a fucking gas tank, and they're not fucking the big fucking ice cream cone shaped motherfuckers in the word of meter, but just a normal dude, a bigger guy, and even our literal guys and middleweight, lightweight, stuff like that. None of them have fucking gas tanks. And like, regardless if you're going into fucking camp or not, you need to fucking run cardio at all fucking times. In the middle of a fucking camp, you need to be fucking running. You need to be on a fucking air bike, fucking pedaling, because your cardio is your fucking life. That's your fucking bread and butter. I don't understand why now in the last year and a half, we're seeing so many people fucking gas out in situations where they could very fucking easily have won that fight if they focus cardio every single day, do an hour of fucking cardio work. That's all you got to do. That shit's not hard. One other thing for this is now the second fight that I've seen Parker Porter try and do a little bit of a little attempt at a BJJ little Kimura there. He did it again in the Parisian match, and then he did it again in this one. That's a weird fucking thing. Because he
really does have a thing for Kimuras as a big guy, doesn't he?
You don't see big dudes trying to fucking lock in a Kimura or really try and implement BJJ into their game.
Funny thing about that, because now that you mentioned that, I do remember seeing that. I had to go and look. He actually has a couple wins on his professional record by Kimura. So that's and key lock. So it's for him, that's kind of a bread and butter. That little fucking bent arm bar, whether it's inverted or not. He likes them both because it's obviously when it comes to grappling, that's his go-to. Not to mention when you have the mount or side control like that, you can finish it. So
and he pinned Chase with it Saturday night when they were in a scramble and Chase tried to posture up and had him in like a half wizard. That's when he slipped that in and he held Chase like face to the ground almost with that fucking Kimura threat until Chase basically hit the ground and let him take half guard.
Yep, he had to, and then. Luckily for Chase, he's still strong enough to be able to straighten his arm. So, I mean, what surprises me is that anybody goes for that in MMA now, because most fighters, and I do this by weight class. If you're fucking 135 and you got a guy that's 265 on top of you that's yoked, you're not straightening your arm for that. But generically speaking, depending on which weight class you're in, you're fighting a guy from the same weight class, they're going to be similar in strength. So they usually can straighten that arm out in order to stop that. So it is kind of weird to see him go after that. But I guess if you got a couple wins by it, why the fuck not?
Right. Yeah. At that point, if you know you can hit it and nothing else seemed to have been working, it wasn't fucking stopping Chase Sherman with fucking punches. That's for damn sure. That motherfucker's got a chin made of stone. Yeah. So,
and I mean, how many of those big guys understand understand the moves of how to get out of certain BJJ moves? Because most of those big guys and heavy, they're all fucking wrestlers.
Yeah, most of them don't practice a lot of lock defenses.
They're all fucking wrestlers and just fucking brawlers. So 80% of those motherfuckers, they've never seen somebody tried to lock in a Kimura on them, an Americana, anything like that, any type of BJJ lock, they'll never see that shit.
I bet I know what it was. I just thought about this. If you go back and you look at Parker Porter, he's a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Maybe there was a little thing in his Jiu-Jitsu class that said, hey, if you can finish him with some sort of submission, you're going to get your black belt.
Yeah, maybe.
Right.
So well, maybe he did take a shot at it just as let's try to level up, you know?
To be fair, we saw Tyron Woodley get his black belt after a match that he didn't do any jiu-jitsu in. So,
I mean, the same thing with Manel Cape.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, very true. So yeah, that might be what it was. He was trying to pull some shit off in the ring to get that fucking black belt promotion and put him up over the top. I could see that. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. We'll definitely have to keep an eye on his next match and see if he tries that same shit again, because I bet he will. Interesting indeed. But that'll bring us to the co-main event of last weekend's card. Clay Guida versus Mark Madsen. This one was a fucking bouncy back and forth all goddamn fight. One thing that I do feel is relevant, regardless of the outcome of this match, Clay Guida during this fight became the 9th person in UFC history to exceed 6 hours of cage time in his career. That's fucking insane, considering that most of an average fighter's fights in the UFC are 15 minutes if they go the distance every fight. Main events are 25 minutes if they go the distance. So, best case scenario, that dude has been in there for a hot fucking minute. 6 goddamn hours is a serious fucking benchmark. That being said, after 15 minutes of hard back and forth with Mark Madsen, Clay Guida could not physically sit still. I am not one by any sense of the imagination to throw another man under the bus for what he does in his own free time. What I will say, though, is the Golden Snitch better take a check and a double check at the A and the B fucking samples from Clay Guida from last Saturday night, because that man had to jog after the 15-minute fight because he couldn't physically stop and just fucking stand still even long enough to shake hands. He was bouncing in place and literally jogging around in the octagon, and then jogged back to the locker room where he jogged back and forth talking to his coaches about the goddamn fight. That's a whole different kind of Energizer Bunny bullshit.
Like me and Meter sat here, watched that fight on Saturday, and he was pacing back and forth. And as they're doing an interview with Mark Madsen, Clay Guida goes over to his coach, and it was just, dude, I guarantee this guy is talking to his coach. Hey, want to go to the gym after this? That dude was cracked the fuck out.
He was on one Saturday for sure.
Dude, as much as I would think he was on something, I know better. That dude his entire fucking career. I think the only weird thing about it is as it hasn't gone away with age.
Right, that he's 40 and still doing it.
And there are some people out there like that can't sit still. I have a couple friends that are those kind of people. You can go out and wear their ass out all fucking day, and then they're just, come on, let's go. It's like owning a fucking goddamn boxer as a dog. Motherfuckers aren't going to sit still no matter what they do unless they're sleeping. That's just how it goes. He's literally the epitome of a boxer as a human being. Just fucking, I'm going everywhere. They did, to be quite honest, I thought he won the first round, but he did not win the second two. I don't know what happened in between round 1 and 2, but his game plan went to shit, or Mark Madsen fucking wised up to what Clay was doing. One of the two.
Right. No, I will say I'm right there with you. I agree with the split decision. I think Guida definitely took round 1, came out in typical Clay Guida fashion. The problem is like TJ said, he didn't adjust, and Mark Madsen came out in round 2 and did adjust and started to put it on, and then round 3 came out and adjusted and put it on Clay Guida. He absolutely did outwork the Carpenter. There's no two ways about it. And I have to say, more than that, one of the best promo-esque call-outs we have seen in the Octagon in a hot minute. Nothing fancy, no big bullshit, just came out and said, there's somebody out there who's saying they're the best wrestler in the UFC, and I think that there's a problem with that because he is me. So, Gregor Gillespie, you're next. Properly done. I will say, though, I did make a mistake last week. I thought he was the Canadian Olympic wrestler. I was incorrect. He is the Danish Olympic wrestler. I did have that incorrect. Either way, still no wrestler, still a badass, still got a W Saturday night. So good on him either way it goes.
You know what was surprising to me? For him being such a good wrestler, couldn't get Guida to the ground, and he had hands on him multiple times.
He did. But I think also a lot of that was one of those classic situations where we've got two dudes who are known for wrestling, so neither one of them want to use it.
Yeah, but Madsen had his normal Greco grabs in there, which usually leads to him having a takedown. But the difference between Greco wrestling versus like freestyle wrestling works a lot better in the UFC versus Greco, and you could kind of see that there. So him saying I'm the best wrestler, all right, dude, let's see. Because to be quite honest, go have a wrestling match. Let's see who wins. That's what I want to know.
That, and it's one thing to Greco wrestle against another Greco wrestler. It's another thing to try and Greco wrestle against a human fucking slinky like Clay Guida.
Yeah.
Like, that dude was all over the goddamn place the entirety of the fight. He wasn't very effective, but he was all over the goddamn place the whole time.
Man, some of his sprawls on Madsen's takedown attempts were fucking impressive. Like, it made that fucking Olympic wrestler look like dog shit as far as his shots were concerned. Which was,
he wasn't making it easy on him. That's for damn sure.
It was still a fun fight to watch, but any fight you watch Clay Guida in is always going to be fun.
Well, I'll put it this way. I enjoyed the co-main a hell of a lot more than I enjoyed the main event.
Yeah.
I'll take it that far. We kind of called it. Jared Cannonier versus Kelvin Gastelum. We said flat out was most likely going to be a fucking pretty boring back and forth. Guess what, folks? It was a pretty fucking mediocre and boring back and forth. Jared Cannonier outpointed him kind of just like we anticipated it. I'll say this. Kelvin isn't completely washed just yet. There was a couple of glimpses. I won't say he's completely washed yet. I will say this, though. If he doesn't get his head out of his ass and get back into real fucking gym and get somebody besides Rafael Cordero who's going to show up on a whim to corner you to actually get him in fucking gear, the next time he shows up and flops as hard as he did this weekend is going to be the last time we see them put him against a name that we recognize. He's going to become a fucking gatekeeper. They're not going to cut him. He's got too much fucking value for the company. But this will be the last time we see him against somebody whose name we recognize if he doesn't get his shit together, I think.
I agree 100% because if he gets back to a good camp, to be quite honest, I think he could stay up there in the top, but the shit that he's doing right now ain't working. Look, and we've seen back-to-back fights now where it just hasn't worked. You know what that means? It's time to think about changing it because doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results is the definition of fucking insanity. At this point, you're clinically insane if you don't get a fucking correct camp behind you. Look, if you're going to get somebody to come in last minute and corner you, go to their fucking camp. At least then they can coach you the whole way through it, right, and things will work a little bit smoother and better. I'm not saying things are going to work out better for you because you chose your last minute camp, but pick a fucking camp, please. Don't let fucking somebody who has no goddamn MMA experience run your fucking camp. That's all I'm saying.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
Yeah, like he as Meter said, he had moments to where he looked there, but just overall, the things that would have been better if he had a camp, he would have been a little bit sharper. He would have been a little bit more snappier. His gas tank would have been just that much better. That man has a fucking good fucking gas tank for getting pieced up the entire fucking fight. But he would have been sharper. Everything would have been honed out. I mean, he really needs to understand that if he wants to keep fighting the best in the fucking division.
You know, the only thing I really want to know about Kelvin Gastelum right now, what does it take to put that motherfucker away?
Right? Yeah. Again,
dropped
and
dropped.
Yeah, he got dropped and rocked 4 times in that fight? 5 times in that fight?
And
5.
Every time he got hit, he came back fucking harder. which to me was fucking impressive, but it wasn't impressive enough to win the fucking fight. But still, we've seen this happen to him on multiple occasions throughout his career. He's never been knocked out. The dude obviously has a fucking chin made of fucking adamantium, because you hit him in it and he pops right back up. It fucking regenerates, he gets back up and goes. He's literally fucking Wolverine in his chin. What do we have to do to see him go to sleep? Is anybody capable of doing that? I don't know at this point, because we've seen him hit by fucking like the likes of Bobby Knuckles, who definitely has one punch knockout power. We've seen him go to war with fucking Israel. What do you have to do to put the guy away? That's the only thing that I think keeps him in the UFC if he loses his next fight. Only fucking thing. Until they've worn that chin out enough to where he goes to sleep on one punch, then they'll fucking let him go.
That's a pretty fair fucking assessment.
Yeah, unfortunately. We did get another one of those fucking weird endings to the night Saturday that we've gotten a couple times recently. No fight of the night bonus. Instead, they gave 4 performance of the night bonuses. William Knight, which that crack was worth a bonus, I get it. Baja Mondays, that fucking wheel kick is about to be ESPN's most fucking run highlight reel for the next 2 weeks. I get it. Nunez, that fucking lady knockout, that folding of fucking Bay Malecki, I get it. And then Pantoja for that fucking smooth yoke up of fucking Royval. I get it. I absolutely agree. All 4 of those are absolutely bonus worthy. I'm not a fan of having a fight of the night bonus and then not having the fight of the night bonus being given during every night they have fights. That it's in the name, literally, fight of the night. If you've got enough finishers to give 4 performance of the night bonuses, one of those likely should have been the fight of the night. They still would have gotten the bonus, the one that you liked, but so would the person that went in there against them and put the work in, and it's a nice consolation prize.
You know, whatever happened to going along with fight of the night, submission of the night, and knockout of the night? And then if you want to throw a performance of the night in there, go ahead. Feel free.
Right, yeah. Throw an extra one, no big deal. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it should always be those 3, barring there's no submissions. And if that's the case, fucking throw an extra performance of the night in there, you know?
Right, yeah, then it makes sense.
Yeah, there's generally, for the most part, at least one knockout on every card, usually. And I say usually because it doesn't always happen. There are some strength nights where we go 15 for every fucking thing. Or you get a bunch of submissions, which that happens sometimes too, but rarer. Go back to that. I don't like performance of the night because that's more of an attaboy, slap you on the ass, see you in the shower type of situation.
I can see like it in the reverse of what they did last week. Instead of giving 4, if they didn't give a performance of the night bonus normally, and someone would get one on top of like the fight of the night, the knockout, and then the submission of the night. If there was a fight that was fucking spectacular, but one-sided and just got edged out for submission of the night or freaking knockout of the night, I can see then in that situation, toss that dude an extra $60K, call it a performance of the night bonus. That I don't think anybody would have a problem with. But when you have a fight of the night bonus and then you don't give it in exchange for 4 performances of the night, you're pissing down the value of the name. That just kind of irks me a little bit. Maybe I'm just too much of a fucking nerd, but I don't know. It's weird. One other quick little recap of last weekend that we actually didn't talk about going in, because I had a pretty fucking sneaky suspicion along with most of the rest of the world that this is how it was going to go. And to the surprise of no one, it's exactly what we all fucking suspected. Manny Pacquiao got his fucking ass absolutely handed to him last weekend. If you haven't seen the highlights, you're not missing much. He doesn't even look like himself anymore and just got flat out fucking manhandled the entire goddamn time. I don't even think at this point we can really realistically look forward to that Pacquiao-McGregor fight anymore. I think at this point, Manny needs to just stick with being the local politician because it's time for him to hang those gloves up. He has lost his edge definitively, and I don't think it's going to get better from here.
Yeah, at this point, it's just fucking diminishing returns.
It was real bad. It really was.
I'm in 100% agreement with you on that because, to be quite honest, look, Manny had a fucking fantastic run, still a massive celebrity across the globe, not just in his native Philippines.
Yeah, no, he was the man for real.
To be honest, get rid of the fucking local politician thing, become president. Easy fucking shoe in there. Your country fucking loves you. And
yeah, he just take Duarte or whatever the fuck his name is out.
Duarte, to be quite honest, fucking scumbag from everything I've seen out of him so far.
Oh yeah.
Pacquiao in there, that would completely change the face of politics in fucking the Philippines.
Fuck yeah.
And to be quite honest, if he still wants a hand in fucking boxing, by all means have it, just not inside the ring, dude.
Yeah, not as a participant.
Start your own promotion, for Christ's sakes. There's plenty of people that would love to fucking fly under your banner.
Fuck yeah.
Not to mention, the Philippines puts out a lot of good boxers. Maybe that's a good way for you to get boxers to that next level.
Shit, or even
fight them,
or even do what Tyson did for a while. Be a fucking scout. Be a recruiter.
Right? Yeah, just be the guy to go look at the talent, because damn well fucking if you're a boxer over there and you see Manny walk into your fucking gym while you're sparring, you're going to put a little more pepper in your next couple fucking shots, especially if you see him looking at your fucking cage while you're going. You're going to give a little extra fucking oomph while you know the fucking champ is fucking watching you, you know? He might be a damn good talent scout. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, it worked out pretty fucking good for old fucking Iron Mike. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a good fucking option, but still stay in the industry that you're so fucking passionate about. I mean, that's not a bad fucking move.
Fuck yeah, might be a way to go. But that being said, that'll bring us into our news and recent events segment of the show before we get into the goodies in just a little bit here. Not a terrible amount of news. A couple of decent fight announcements, a couple of interesting things to talk about real quick, aside from fights. The first one I want to make a point to talk about here. As of yesterday, officially, Rob Font has been completely exonerated by Usada. They have officially determined that, I'm going to try and make sure I get this correctly, chlorphenicin that was found in his sample came from fucking lotion, not a supplement, not a fucking PED. They found a chemical that's in lotion that's metabolized by the body, and like everything else, changes as it's metabolized by the body, and they traced it to his fucking lotion. Not only that, chlorphenicin is a common used preservative in lotion and sunscreen in virtually all skincare items in the entire industry. It's not even like he was using some crazy off-brand, and this is something they had never heard of. It's an open, acknowledged industry ingredient in all fucking skincare products for the most part. The fact that that's what they were going over him after, and it took them this fucking long to exonerate him from using regular fucking lotion, is a little bit fucking ridiculous in my opinion. I am very glad they have fucking exonerated him so that now we can talk realistically about Rob Font being in the fucking title picture again. But god damn, is it fucking stupid that it took this long and this much bullshit to go over fucking lotion when we had the Nate Diaz samples and supplements turned around in a fucking weekend over lab results. What the fuck? Aggravating, to say the fucking least. But at the same time, good for Rob Font. He deserved to be fucking exonerated because he didn't fucking do anything. That being said, a new gentleman who 99.999% of you watching and or listening to this will never have heard of before, because he literally got signed to the UFC last week, hurt himself last weekend, and has been subsequently released from the UFC this week. Never even got to make his debut. Zviad Lavashvili had one of the literal shortest turnarounds in UFC history. In the span of 6 days, was signed and then subsequently cut from the UFC. Just in case you were one of those people that still somehow thought that the UFC has a heart and cares about their fighters. With him out now, that leaves an opening on next weekend's UFC card for Jack Shore, who will now be still on the card, but taking on the replacement of Ludwig Shaolinian from this season's Ultimate Fighter. For those of you who watched this season's Ultimate Fighter, Ludwig is not in the finals for very good reason. How, after his performance on this season, he still managed to get a full UFC contract, I am very, very confused. When there are several other contestants from this season, if that's what they were going for, who I feel would have been much, much better representatives and much more due an opportunity despite the outcome of this season's results. But nonetheless, next weekend, we will see Ludwig Shaolinian in the Octagon against Jack Shore.
You know what I think about that? I look at it like this. He may not have shown up on the Ultimate Fighter because, look, if you've watched season, you know. He won one, lost one. Okay, whatever. But there are a lot of fighters like that. If we go back in history, that didn't win every fight, didn't look great right away in the Ultimate Fighter, but they turned around once they got their contract. Maybe they're hoping that's what's gonna happen with him, because he did have a good solid mindset.
Right.
He had that
Eastern Bloc, baby.
Eastern Bloc, I just want to smash fucking mindset, which is what the UFC wants. They want like fighters
clearly,
like that.
Clearly they love that style.
Because I mean, those guys are always going to produce exciting fights. I mean, look, if you haven't watched this, spoiler fucking alert, I'm going to say it now. Ludwig does not mind getting hit.
Not at all.
No, and when he gets hit, he'll fucking drop hands and start walking towards you like, hit me the fuck again. Yeah, he's the kind of showboaty showmanship that they fucking like. And I say showboaty loosely because he's not a showboaty fighter. Right. That kind of thing is. So it makes sense to me why they signed him. Hopefully it's only a performance-based signing. You perform, you get another fight type of sign.
The development contracts, I think, is how they phrase those now.
Yeah, I would be okay with that. To be quite honest, I'm okay with every one of those guys getting a developmental contract when it comes to the Ultimate Fighter, because they actually put in a lot of work on that show, and they fight back to back basically on that show. For those of you guys don't realize that show is only filmed in like 6 weeks or something like that. So they're fighting like every other fucking week or something. It's fucking crazy.
Shit. I mean, going off of that, I mean, look at Rashad Evans. He had one fight that was fucking horrible. He still got a W, but it was fucking atrocious on both ends of the fucking spectrum. But look at what fucking he turned around and did. He became the face of the entire industry for a good long while.
Yeah, this is true.
Absolutely.
That's why I'm okay with it. It's any fighter that they sign off of the Ultimate Fighter is better than any fighter that gets signed off of fucking the Contender Series. And I say that without prejudice to other fighters that have been signed that have looked really good from the Contender Series. No, anybody who comes off a TUF, yeah, give them up fucking a single fight contract. If you win, you get another fight type situation.
Okay, so from there, we did get some very interesting fight announcements I want to take a minute to talk about here real quick. The first big one we got, UFC 266 taking place next month, September 25th, just got a damn fine fight added to it, in my opinion. The return, the first time we have seen him since the fucking weirdest loss we've seen him take yet. Dan Hooker is officially getting back into the octagon against another one of our favorites around here, Nasrat Hakparas, one of our favorite fighters and names to say both. So you can't really be too mad at that. The fact that they're throwing that on the fucking pay-per-view, so Dan Hooker obviously is not catching any fucking light work, and they're not going to throw him back down to a fucking fight night card. He's going from pay-per-view right back to fucking pay-per-view. So it shows that the UFC has some faith in Dan Hooker, I think. At least more than most would, I think, at this point. And I agree. I think it's well deserved. I think it's going to be a hell of a fucking fight. And I'm damn glad to see Hooker getting back in the octagon. October 2nd has had a very interesting fight added to it. Speaking of getting back on the horse, as it were, Cowboy Oliveira, the Brazilian cowboy, gets back into the cage after a hard minute out, taking on none other than the madman himself, the hybrid Nico Price. That, I think, is going to be a fucking crazy fight because both of those dudes are very much the embodiment of unorthodox. So I think that's a fucking real good stylistic matchup. And I think ranking wise, it makes a lot of sense for both of those guys as well. I think that's going to be a great fight. October 23rd, we have got a pair of announcements here. The first one, our boy is back. Chris Moutinho, victim of the sugar douche, showed so much fucking heart. The UFC is bringing him right fucking back. He is getting in there against Aaron Phillips October 23rd, and I cannot fucking wait to see it. I think Moutinho's got a damn good chance of being somebody in the fucking UFC. Considering what he did against douchebag McGee on short notice, I'm in fucking Team Moutinho until he gives me a reason not to be.
Agreed.
The other interesting fight announcement for October 23rd is on the other side of the kicky punchy world that we cover when there's good news for it here. The Glory heavyweight kickboxing title is officially up for grabs. The one and only undefeated for 6 running years, Rico Verhoeven, has agreed to welcome the Ream back to Glory with an immediate title shot. For those of you who don't know, before Alistair Overeem, looking at the wrong note, before Alistair Overeem made his way into the UFC via Pride and several other interesting roundabout ways, he was known as being one of the baddest motherfuckers in the world in the kickboxing world. Former K1 Grand Prix champion. This is not just I did a little kickboxing. This motherfucker was a legitimate world beater when he made his way from K1 over into Pride, and he was the Uber Ream. He was a dangerous motherfucker in the kickboxing and early MMA world for a big fucking reason. And now upon his release from the UFC, he is going to try and make his way back over into the kickboxing world and getting an immediate title shot against a very dangerous Rico Verhoeven. I am very curious to see where Ream stands as far as his kickboxing skills and if Verhoeven can figure him out quick or if it's really going to end up being a long match, because Rico Verhoeven's fights generally don't go the distance. He's not undefeated in 6 fucking years because he doesn't compete very often. I'll tell you that much. I like the Ream, but I don't know about his odds in this matchup. I think this is going to tell us a lot about what Alistair Overeem's future holds in the very immediate sense based on his results from that fight. go. We also got a pair of announcements for the November 13th UFC card. Lando Venata stepping back into the Octagon after looking arguably better than ever in his last outing against Faraz Zayam. So the UFC obviously not throwing him any favors or trying to help him get up that list anytime soon. Regardless, I still think if he puts on a great performance, he's still going to keep fucking climbing and keep getting fucking fights, which is obviously the goal. The other fight that literally was just announced 42 minutes ago, actually, while we were live already, that I just saw here. Jessica I versus Andrea KGB Lee will also be added to that card. They are very clearly still trying to pull Andrea Lee, up that list and trying to get Jessica I the fuck out of there as quickly as they can. Stylistically, this is not a good matchup for Jessica I, and this is kind of a softball pitch for Andrea Lee at this point here. Being as it's MMA and anything could happen, that's, there's no fucking guarantee, obviously, but this is very much slated to be an easy walk in the park for Andrea Lee, as it were. The following week after that, the November 20th card. Wait, what the fuck did I just read a minute ago? Oh, I fucked up. Read two notes at once. Okay, so scratch that, strike that, reverse, switch it all back. Lando Venata is taking on Tucker Lutz on November 13th. On November 20th, Terrence McKinney, holder of the fastest knockout in lightweight history in the UFC in a 7-second debut, steps back in on a quick turnaround to take on Faraz Zayam November 20th. We're doing it live. That's how you know. Last fight announcement I do want to talk about here real quick. September 18th, over on the other side of the punchykicky house, we have got an addition. As of right now, they are looking at it to be the possible co-main event for Bellator 266. The return, as is the theme of the news here, Neiman Gracie getting back into the Octagon, taking on Mark Lemminger, which is going to be a very interesting matchup, I think, there as well. Definitely glad to see Neiman getting back in there, because it has been a hot minute since we saw him coming back into the Octagon after the loss as well. Okay, so that being said, and of course the fucking kid runs away when I get ready to throw it to him. This is why we can't have nice things, folks. This is why
moving along,
right? The moment to shine, and look, now he comes walking back through the fucking curtains. This fucking guy, I tell you.
I tried to go while you were talking. Still, I had a fucking piss. Shut up. And then I had to help and stop the cat from eating the missus fucking computer mouse. The cat likes mice, just not fucking actual live ones.
Right. So, at this point, before we get into our fun and games for the evening, we have a moment here where we are owed a recap and judgment from the young gunner himself. So before we get into our fun and games, we have a recap, judgment, and reading to be delivered by Mr. RJ here first.
Alrighty, folks. Doing this for last week, the 21st show, 6 days ago. This time was the reigning, defending, undisputed pit champion himself, TJ Golf T, versus the host, so to speak, good old Meter there.
What do you mean, so to speak? You're on my fucking show.
I know, but you weren't really the host that particular on that.
I know.
Show.
I'm just busting your balls.
So I will not try to keep up. I did not remotely try to keep up and write down word for word your fucking answers. I have a small notebook. This is a pocket notebook I take for work. I don't have time to do that shit. So I just wrote down the subject and what I thought. So the first question for round one was the Bellator main event, the Czech Congo versus Sergey fight, and I am in agreement and understand where both of y'all guys came from. Although I had to give that particular one, God, you fucking cat, get off of my curtains. I had to give that particular round to TJ because he just went into a little bit more depth with his analysis of what he anticipates on the fight itself. So I had to give round one to TJ. And then the co-main event, which was the Alan Belcher and Lopez. Again, I had to give that particular one to TJ again, just for the depth of how far he went into it, breaking down their real kind of schedule of competition. So round 1 and 2 went to TJ. And then round 3 comes down to the BKFC main event versus Bedford and Barnett, and not one of the good Barnetts that's on another particular promotion. Reggie Barnett, the wash up wannabe, never has been guy. I had to give that one to Meter, because the way Bedford did lose his title was bullshit. And in the words of many great men, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And Reggie Barnett never beat fucking Bedford. And then going over this past weekend's UFC events, and going off of this past weekend's UFC events, I did listen. I was not going to base it off of the card itself. I was basing it off of the explanation, the depth, and just the passion that was in the answers there. For question number 4 in last week was the Clay Guida and Mark Madsen fight. This one, and it sucks because I should have wrote down at least like a quick briefing of your answers, but that was a lot of fucking right. And I have horrible handwriting, so I wouldn't have been able to read my own shit. I could have had Taylor do it. I didn't think about that. Yeah, I should have had her do it. She could have kept up. Notes to the future, RJ. Notes for the future. Clay Guida and Mark Madsen. I had to give that again 2 Meter. And then the UFC main event, the clusterfuck, that was Cannonier and what the fuck am I doing, Kevin Gastelum. The still current champion had to be TJ, because TJ just went way more in depth with the strength of scheduling and the fact that regardless of who wins, has to go up against good old fucking Bobby Knuckles, or Bobby Knuckles, and both of them just can't fucking, they're levels below where Bobby Knuckles was like 5 years ago. So we are at like fucking like week 7 now of the current reigning, defending, undisputed champion of the pit.
Not week 7. There was a stumble in there, but then again, I also wanted to complain to the board, but I never did because there are some questions that were not MMA related in there. But I'm gonna take my L like a champ and come back stronger. That's how that works.
All I'm gonna say is you point out to me what other professional organization that doesn't have a little clowning around take place once in a while.
I mean, they got
UFC.
fucking Saul D'Amato, so
That's a professional organization in its own.
Oh, but that, on the other hand, will bring us back around to the point where I will tell all the audio listeners who are catching this the week after we do it live how much they are missing out seeing this sweet and indelibly evil gift that comes across the screen to let our loving fans and live watchers here on YouTube know that we are about to enter the pit. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the time has come for competition on the I'm No Joe podcast. And this, as in the case as weeks previously, is the point where we turn the questions over to our competitors here, give them equal time to answer, and then judge them solely based on whose line is in any way made up criteria. That being said, let's get into it. As soon as I find where I put my fucking timer. Oh yeah, that's right, it died. Never mind. Okay, so get a timer brought up here. Okay, so first question for this particular edition of the Pit. UFC Las Vegas 35/TUF finale season 29 takes place Saturday night, being headlined by two of the most impressive people in the UFC's featherweight division right now. One Edson Barbosa Jr., one Giga Chikadze facing off to headline the event Saturday. So, your question, gentlemen. Who wins our main event and how? Golf T, as the current reigning champion, I will give you first grounds for the floor, sir.
Okay. Well, let's start here. We're going to start with Giga because, Giga has been on a fucking absolute tear. Just absolutely murdering people. Knockouts. And he's on an absolute tear doing so. However, standing across the other side there, you got an Edson Barboza that is just another fucking highlight reel full of knockouts and has a gas tank for days. To be quite honest, I have a hard time picking winner on this one. However, I'm going to go out on a crazy fucking limb here and see that Mr. One Edson Barboza does not want to be showing up for a spinning heel kick and gets it done with a spinning heel kick because he's going to throw at least one because, the reigning king of fucking spinning heel kicks still has the most played fucking knockout of all time in the UFC. Unfortunately, it came at the loss of a Terry Edom, but a feeling we're going to see Edson Barboza try to one-up his spinning wheel kick counterpart from fucking last weekend.
I could definitely see that being a possibility. So that brings it over to you, RJ. Main event, Giga Chikadze versus Edson Barboza. Who takes it and how?
based off of both of their performances throughout the years, Giga Chikadze definitely has that fucking push, like, and drive like a motherfucker. He's determined to take over the fucking division. But you have a fucking crafty old vet who's been doing this shit for a long fucking time that's still pretty fucking spry for how long he's been in the industry. I think Edson Barboza wins it. I think he understands that Giga is too dangerous to try multiple times to do a spinning heel. As nice as I'd fucking like to see that, I think he's gonna do just a simple fucking left feint to fucking right cross and then just piece him the fuck out. I think Edson understands that Giga is just too dangerous on his feet and on his and on the ground to put himself in a situation to where he will multiple times put himself in a questionable situation with somebody as dangerous and as quick as Giga. So I think it's a feint left, right crossover, and then just piece him up from there.
Interesting. Very interesting. I got to say here, both make very valid points. In round one, though, I am going to give the point to TJ. I love Giga Chikadze, but Edson Barboza has almost embraced that wheel kick knockout as a part of his personality to this point. And after seeing Baja Mondays last weekend just deliver a fucking textbook perfect version of it, I agree. I have a feeling we're going to see Edson doing a lot of fucking spinning this weekend. I don't know if it's going to work on Giga because, like we said, Giga Chikadze is also a fucking K1 Grand Prix champion, fucking world-class kickboxer as well. So he will be prepared for it. But I absolutely think we're going to see Edson doing a lot of ballerina shit this weekend. So that will bring us to our round two. With this being the Ultimate Fighter finale, we have not one but two different weight class versions of the Ultimate Fighter finale taking place, sharing the co-main event, if you will, to help us wrap out the evening. The first one being the bantamweight final, Ricky Tercios versus Brady Highstand. The second one being the middleweight TUF finale championship in Brian Battle taking on the not runner-up Gilbert Urbina, the loser of the semifinal round of the Ultimate Fighter in the middleweight division. So, with that little piece of controversy being thrown into the mix and making it extra spicy, if you will, your round two question, gentlemen. Which of these matchups is the better Ultimate Fighter finale match and why? RJ, you will get this one first, sir, whenever you're ready.
Without a question of a fucking doubt, regardless if it was Urbina or Gore, I would instantly go the Ricky Brady fight. I'm going with that because regardless of if it was Urbina or Gore, both of them have massive fucking flaws in the game that Battle can see directly through. Battle's way fucking more smooth than both of them are, and that would have been a fucking clinic. Gore stands square every fucking time, drops his shoulder, too fucking slow, too hesitant, always second guesses himself. And the same thing goes for Urbina. Fucking Ricky and Brady, they just get in and fucking battle. And that is unpredictable. You really can't train for some shit like that. And there's something about a little wily fucking long-haired motherfucker and goddamn firefighters in the UFC that just fucking does something that's just fucking beautiful. Like almost every time. It's just fucking beautiful. So I'd have to say Ricky and Brady.
Interesting. Interesting indeed. So, Mr. Golf T, question comes back to you as well. With the 35 and 85 pound Ultimate Fighter finales taking place as the shared co-main event for Saturday night's card, which of those two matchups do you think is the better Ultimate Fighter finale and why?
Well, let me start with this. I'm not happy with Barboza Chikadze being the main event. They should have been the co-main event to a dual main event because this is an Ultimate Fighter finale. But anyhow, now that that's out of the way, let me go ahead and actually get down to the question here. Battle and Urbina, that is just going to be battled basically running Urbina. This is going to be the fourth strikeout we see from the Urbina clan. For you, those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, there's been other Urbinas through the fucking Ultimate Fighter house, and all of them have failed. Unfortunately, Gilbert gets to fail twice here, which I'm sorry for him. He's a lot better than his brothers were. I'll give him that. But then I'm excited about Brady and Ricky, though. Like I'm legitimately excited about this. Brady has, for lack of better terms, the kid who's never gotten hurt syndrome, where he thinks he's still fucking Superman, which is fucking great if you're a fighter, because you need that. But on the other side, I see something in Ricky Tercios that I don't know that anybody else possibly sees. I see a little bit of Diego Nightmare Sanchez in him. He's a little bit fucking awkward, and he's a little bit crazy. That dude has a lot of fucking potential to be highlight reels in the UFC. He's got just that right amount of crazy in him. Not too much to the effect of the nightmare or the dream or whatever the fuck he's calling himself nowadays, the unemployed. But that's going to be the fight to watch. To be quite honest, I don't give a shit who wins that one, but I'm telling you that fight will be fireworks just purely on the way Brady handles himself and the little bit of crazy that Ricky is. And I say a little bit of crazy in the nicest way possible, because I don't think he's like fucking out there left field Diego Nightmare Sanchez, but you can see it in him a little bit. He's got that same kind of persona.
No, I absolutely agree with both you gentlemen. To be fair, I almost feel like they should have just gave Brian Battle that fucking trophy when Trayshawn got hurt. Trayshawn was literally the last Team Ortega guy in the competition, so I understand that he wanted to represent extra hard, but we actually talked about this a little bit the other day, post-show. Trayshawn, along with, what was he, the fifth one I think we talked about? The fifth one or the sixth one on this particular season, who came into the Ultimate Fighter house with a tear of some variation in one of their knees. Up until the last, I think it was 4 or 5 seasons, you didn't see that. That wasn't a thing. You didn't see fucking Rampage coming into the fucking Ultimate Fighter house with a slightly torn MCL just wanting to go light until it's fight time. You didn't see fucking Kimbo come in with a sore rotator cuff that really he should have gotten fixed, but, the Ultimate Fighter called, so he's here. The dudes who made a fucking name for themselves showed up healthy and ready to go and performed. And it seems like these last couple seasons in a row, we've got so many fucking competitors coming in knowing that they're hurt. You're not showing up for a contender series where you got one fight and you impress or you don't, and then you're gone. The Ultimate Fighter is 6 weeks of fucking grinding, staying at fight weight, and then fighting potentially 3 times in those 6 weeks just to earn your way to your 4th fight. Why would you risk your potential only opportunity into the UFC by coming in injured? And I think this is like, I think it was the 5th dude this time that came in fucking injured. I definitely feel bad for Trayshawn Gore, because he absolutely won his way to the finale and then got fucking hurt again on a pre-existing injury that he should have fucking known better. But Brian Battle legitimately showed up healthy, on weight, on point, focused, and won his way to the finale. I kind of feel like at this point, I agree. It's nice to see another Urbina, because his brothers have been in there. The Urbina name is kind of synonymous with Ultimate Fighter at this point, but he got knocked the fuck out by Trayshawn Gore.
Bad.
Yeah, not just a little bit. He got Friday style knocked the fuck out.
Like he got knocked out. He got knocked out, but he took a couple good fucking licks and kept on going though. You got to give that kid that.
Yeah, because he did get dropped once and then got knocked out hard later.
Twice. Yeah. He got dropped hard twice.
Yeah.
Still.
I absolutely will give him credit. But the fact that Brian Battle could now potentially have won all the fights up to and then lose his fucking chance to be the Ultimate Fighter against a dude who's already lost, it's a little weird. That being said, though, I do 100% agree. This fucking Ricky Tercios versus Brady Highstand fight is gonna be fucking fireworks. I don't know that they are on the same level based on what we saw in the Ultimate Fighter house. I kind of feel like Brady has, I don't want to say he got gifted his way there, but he definitely had a less difficult path to the finale than Ricky Tercio did, in my opinion here. That being said, I also feel that we have seen more out of Ricky Tercios, and I agree. He has got that little bit. There's one of the screws up here isn't quite tightened all the way. Very, very reminiscent of the Nightmare, not quite to that same legitimate fucking mental illness degree, but a little bit of that awkward, not quite the norm type. I think Ricky's going to take it. I think we're going to see Ricky and Brian Battle getting our victories here.
I mean, shit. You said you just said Ricky's had to put more in. Whenever they lined up to do the little fucking face off for TUF at the end of the fucking episode, look at Ricky's face. That man's fucking battered, bloodied, fucking bandage across his nose, and fucking Brady's just fucking slick back hair, fucking little pretty boy Troy over there. Not a fucking care in the world.
You know, I think that comes with the way they film that, though, because I'm guessing his fight, because if you look at the weird cut that's there,
yeah,
I think his fight happened the same day as the Gore fight.
Yeah, I think it was as well.
What happened is he had just gotten out of that fight to get in, and I think Brady's happened beforehand.
Yeah, I agree.
But either way, still fucking exciting. And to be quite honest, I think the UFC would be remiss if they don't let Gore at least get a fight.
I agree. I also agree as well. This does feel a little bit weird to have an Ultimate Fighter finale where the coaches are still going to fight. They're just not fighting on the fucking finale. We know we're getting that Ortega Volkanovski fight. It's a little odd to not have it as the main event, like it's supposed to be in the other seasons of Ultimate Fighter leading up to this. But still, we're going to get an interesting card out of it overall. That being said, we are going to give round 2 to the kid. RJ gets the point for round 2. Moving on to round 3 here. With such an eclectic blend of fights on the card for this weekend, it's mainly prelim is UFC that you may recognize. The main card is majority Ultimate Fighter contestants here. I agree with it 100%, but that leaves a lot of room for fights that fly under the radar and fights that just get all the attention for no fucking reason. So we're going to combine 2 of our favorite questions into one here for round 3. What is, in your opinion, the best / worst fight of the weekend? Get them both in your minute here. Golf team, this one goes to you first, sir.
So you want which one I think is going to be the best and which one I think is going to be the worst?
Yep.
Okay, so not necessarily what I want to watch. Okay, got it.
Right.
All right.
Right.
Okay. So to be quite honest, I'll say it outright. Best fight is, in my opinion, going to be that featherweight main event fight. To be quite honest, that has the makings of a good main event fight just based on their 2 styles. The worst fight, in my personal opinion, you have to go to the fucking prelims for. Sam Alvey and Wellington Turman. Why is Sam Alvey still in the fucking UFC? He's literally the human punching bag at fucking middleweight. Get rid of him. He doesn't belong here anymore. Worst fight on the fucking card. Period.
I can see that. With 14 seconds to spare even. Interesting. Okay, so RJ, that brings it back over to you. Best and worst fights on the card this weekend.
Fuck, I got fucking 2 fucking fights that I think will be fucking bangers, and I can't fucking make a goddamn decision. I got fucking 2. I can't make a fucking decision on him. For me, it's kind of tied up between the Moldova and Mershart, because those are two people that know what the fuck they're doing. They're rounded, sharpened, fucking just there, gas tank there, fucking fight IQ's there, and they're just fucking ready to go, fight intelligently, defend themselves intelligently. That's gonna be a pretty good fucking fight. But so would the fucking Kevin Lee fucking D-Rod, because D-Rod's a fucking world ender at this point in his fucking career. That's a fucking hard one for me to pick, but I kind of like the looks of the Moldova Mershart fight a little bit more, because there's a lot of fucking education, there's a lot of skill, there's a lot of fucking time put in between both of those guys. And the worst for me, I don't want to use TJ's, because I was going back and forth between the Alvi and just the JJ Aldrich and fighting a fucking player unknown. I don't. That's no fucking draw. That's no shake in a division. That's just, hey, here's a W and some money. That does fucking nothing for the night. You can take that fight off the card entirely, and nobody would fucking notice it was gone, because nobody fucking looked at it. Yeah, because I mean, Aldrich doesn't do a whole fucking lot of draw at this point. So for me, I'm gonna say the Moldova, Mershart, and the Aldridge and player unknown.
Interesting points on both sides here. I gotta be honest here. RJ pointed his fucking finger at the bleachers, and he fucking wound up, and he swung, and it looked like he was just gonna Babe Ruth that motherfucker. And then he walked away from the D-Rod fight, and it was a big whiff. So close to getting the point. So close. I do agree on both sides here that Smiling Sam needs to take his ass on to fucking Bellator already. I'm tired of seeing his name on fucking promotions. He can't even get past soup cans anymore, and it's well beyond time they cut that smiling moron loose. Being a smiling dude does nothing in a fight if you smile after every time you get fucking hit, Sam. That being said, I do think that fucking the main event is going to be really, really fucking good. I have a slight feeling that Kevin Lee versus D-Rod is going to be better. That's my fight of the night, really. There's a lot of good fights. I'm very excited to see both of the Ultimate Fighter finales, despite Urbina being in there without deserving it. I'm still excited to see both of those, but I think that D-Rod versus Kevin Lee fight is going to be a very informative fight. If nothing else, it's going to tell us exactly where Kevin Lee fits into all this. So round 3 goes to TJ. So round 4, we're going to mix it up a little bit here. For round 4's question, I would like your opinion on why it was that RJ delivered us a Sal D'Amato-esque scorecard for last weekend's card. RJ, I'll let you go first on this.
What do you mean by a Sal D'Amato scorecard?
Well, you hinted at it earlier. What's he known for?
Being stupid.
I think you whiffed last weekend, kid.
I don't think I did. So I don't think I whiffed, because all 3 that I gave to TJ, he went into far more depth of his analysis of both fighters and the level of explanation of why he thinks that a particular fight would have been better, or a particular person would have won, was champion level quality.
Interesting.
I have a single sentence answer for this. He wanted a shot at the title. And if you won, he didn't get it because you host. I guess two sentences. Still, he wanted a shot at the title. That's the main takeaway there.
For round 4, much in the vein of round 3 here, TJ pointed at the bleachers and then gave us 2 sentences after he said he was going to give us 1. So after a close round, that point's going to go to RJ, which means we are all tied up through round 4, and that will bring us to our sudden death round 5 question. So for round 5, we purposefully did not talk about it in any of the rest of the show in any capacity. So now I'm going to ask you about it at the end to determine the winner. Your round 5 question, gentlemen. In your opinion, should people watch Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley on Showtime Boxing Sunday night? Why or why not? TJ, being the current champion, you will have the champion's prerogative here, and you can choose whether to answer this question yourself or pass it along to the young gunner and wait for his response.
I'm going to defer, but before I defer, I need to speak about something that didn't get spoken about on the show because I think this is fucking huge. This is the one right step that I've seen the UFC make in a long time. The specific fight on this card, main card, Andre Petroski, Michael Gilmore. Michael Gilmore, for those of you who did not watch The Ultimate Fighter, came in on like 24 hours notice to fight, albeit he lost. He stayed in Vegas, quit his fucking job for the pure chance of getting into the UFC's Ultimate Fighter house. Even though they said, yep, you didn't quite make the cut, they got a hold of him. He was still in Vegas, quit his job for this. And now they're giving him another shot. Thank you, UFC. That's what I like to see out of somebody who's willing to quit their fucking regular day job to pursue a passion in fighting. He may not win, because to be quite honest, I think Petroski's better, but still, UFC did a fucking huge solid, in my opinion, there. Pay that fucking man for his night's work that he's going to do, whether he wins or not. Huge fucking props to the UFC just for bringing Gilmore in for this. They didn't have to do shit for him after the Ultimate Fighter. They could have just let him wither by the roadside.
Very true. No, absolutely. I agree. And I was actually looking at the card earlier, and I saw Andre Petroski's name, and I was like, oh, cool. They're going to give him a shot on the card with his buddies. And I looked at Michael Gilmore, and the name didn't strike me because, like you said, he literally got brought in on the last fucking minute notice, because when the Ultimate Fighter trials ended, he didn't make the cut. But unlike all of his fellow competitors, he quit his fucking job and got a hotel room in Las Vegas and stayed there for an extra, I think it was on 4 weeks or 3 weeks after the tryouts ended and the show had started. And he still stayed there. And when one of the other gentlemen who hurt his fucking knee that he already came into the fucking house with a tear on ended up getting out, Gilmore got that last minute fucking call. And it wasn't until I actually clicked on his name and saw his picture, that's when I was like, oh shit, that's last minute Larry. And it sure the fuck was. It was old boy that quit his fucking job and stayed in Vegas even after the tryouts were closed and the show was filming. That's a motherfucker that wants to fight. That's the dude that wants to be in the UFC. I agree completely. So I'm curious to see how that one plays out as well. But that being said, RJ, the question goes to you, sir. In your opinion, should people actually watch Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley this weekend? Why or why not?
I'm going to have a conflicting answer. I want to say no. but I also want people that like Jake Paul to see the joy on Tyron Woodley's mother's face whenever he sees Tyron Woodley put that motherfucker to sleep, especially after somebody called her an old hag that needs to go on with her life and stop worrying about her child. I want to see that woman fucking smile, and I want a lot of people to fucking see it. I want a lot of people to fucking see that smile. That's the only reason why I want people to watch it, is I just want to watch people see that woman's fucking smile whenever Jake Paul gets fucked up. Because you don't fucking go out of your way whenever you have nothing to do with what the fuck's going on, just to fucking sit there and disrespect somebody's mother. That has nothing to do with what the fuck is going on. I want to see her smile. That's it.
Interesting point there. So now it comes back to you, Golf T. In your opinion, should people actually watch Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley this weekend? Why or why not?
To start with, I'm in 100% agreement with RJ there. You don't talk about someone's mama. I get it. Paul is trying to pull a page out of Connor's playbook, sell more tickets. I get it. But still, the mama, the family thing, that's off limits. Even when Connor did it, it was fucking terrible. But to answer the question itself, do you tune in? Do you not? To be quite honest, unless you're into lack of sleep, don't tune in. This is a waste of your fucking time. All you're doing is lining the pockets of someone who's already got plenty of fucking money. The best thing that's possibly going to come out of this is watching that motherfucker get shut down. Depending on what kind of boxer Tyron actually is, if he's just going to be a counterpuncher, that could very well work out in his favor with an amateur fucking boxer, or I should say pro boxer, air quotes there for you guys can't see it. Fucking terrible. And to be quite honest, the only thing that Paul is doing good for the combat community right now is raising questions about fighter pay in MMA. Other than that, absolutely fucking useless. I'm not tuning in. I'll check the fucking replay to see who won the next day. Papers. Google that shit. Fuck it.
Fuck YouTube it.
Yeah, I gotta say, as weird as this whole fucking scenario is, I would absolutely not advocate anyone waste their time Sunday night watching it. Sure as fuck don't pay to see this goddamn fight. Regardless of how it ends, the highlights will be available for everyone for free all over the goddamn internet. If not Sunday night, then first fucking thing Monday morning. I can promise you all that without a shadow of a fucking doubt. That being said, I's dotted, T's crossed here. Carry the one, slap your mama. That means all things added and rounded out, the point for round 5 and the winner of this episode of The Pit is officially and new. The young gunner gets it. I gotta say, this might be one of the only times we have seen the champion's prerogative actually come back to bite him in the ass, because I gotta be honest here. I was gonna go with whoever brought up the fucking Mama Woodley deserves better point, because I don't like fucking Tyquill in any stretch of the imagination. I wouldn't piss on Jake Paul if he was burning alive in front of me. But if you say a fucking crossword about my mother, I will spend every waking moment of the rest of my life making sure yours is a miserable hell. So fuck Jake Paul for not correcting his fucking team. I don't care how bad you want to sell a fucking fight. When you heard and you knew in the moment that whole kerfuffle started because one of your douchebag teammates talked shit about Tyron Woodley's fucking mother and you didn't step up and put him in his place, you became the biggest bitch in the fucking room. And I don't care how much you pay Tyquill to take that dive. Fuck you till you die, Jake Paul. That being said, for making the eloquent point first, RJ gets it and now becomes the Pit champion.
So I just want to throw it out there. You said you hate Woodley. Y'all have to remember, I hate that motherfucker with a burning passion of 1,000 suns. But that man's mother is the nicest woman you will ever meet on this earth. She sat there and hugged men that fucking beat the shit out of her son, win, lose, or draw, and sit there and hug them. You know, you're a great person. You're doing great things with your life. How the fuck are you going to disrespect that fucking sweet ass woman? How the fuck are you going to do that?
Yep. I agree. No, it's kind of sad that somebody like Jake Paul is one of the biggest fucking pot stirrers right now in terms of fighter pay for the UFC, and he has absolutely nothing to do with it. But that being said, he is still getting attention brought to it, and he is still going to make several fucking beyond their prime people very wealthy for his shit shows in the process. So with that being said, we are going to go ahead and call that all for this particular episode of the show. So before we get out of here, the new reigning pit champion, if folks want to hear how you develop such a winning strategy while still getting last week so incredibly wrong, how can they find you after the show?
If you'd like to talk to me on how I got last week so incredibly right, and it's not because I wanted to take one more shot at winning, you know, you can find me over there at RJMMA official on Instagram, or you can drop a fucking message in the fan Q&A segment on Discord. It's down in the link in the description. It's also been running on the bottom of the screen on the banner the entire time we've been broadcasting.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your time, sir. Always appreciated. That being said, Mr. Golf Tee, great round played this evening, sir. Despite the outcome, should folks want to find you after the show and get a little more information on maybe how to find some delicious cheese curds up your way, maybe even find themselves a Kenosha crippler to learn a thing or two from while they're at it, how can they get a hold of you once the show is over, sir?
Wednesday night, right here on the YouTubes, my channel, 9:30 Central Time. And of course, here every Thursday that I can possibly be, barring some unfortunate circumstances. And congratulations to the new guy. Maybe this will help him actually grow a full beard. Finally getting a W here, which would be awesome. And I just want to let people know to take a page out of your playbook there, Meter. You can believe anything you want to, unless you think it's their fault and not ours.
I can agree with that. Thank you very much for your time, sir. Always appreciated. And with that being said, boys and girls, we are going to call that all for this particular episode of the I'm No Joe podcast. So to each and every one of you who caught this live on youtube.com/I'm No Joe, we see you and we appreciate you guys. To those of you who are listening the week after the broadcast or your podcast consumption platform of choice via anchor.fm/I'm No Joe, we appreciate you just the same. If you appreciate what we do around here, click that like button, hit subscribe, make sure you don't miss an episode, so you turn on that little notification bell. That being said, we are going to call that all for this particular episode. So remember, until next time, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything, unless you really thought the transition out of Afghanistan was going to go any other way.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times that made us laugh.